The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon here, and good morning in Australia, and good evening in Europe. I'm here in Phoenix, and we're going to work on the webinar for the Pisces full moon. The actual time of the full moon in GMT is 9:39 a.m. and 27 seconds. Got it right this time instead of p.m. So that's in another 12 hours or so, a little bit more. And this is our warm-up for that work. We have before us the Pisces banner, and we see here the rulers of the sign Pisces. It's interesting that, as in the case of Sagittarius, Jupiter is an exoteric ruler, and the other rulers are actually non-sacred planets. It is so in Sagittarius. Both the Earth and Mars are other rulers, esoteric and hierarchical. And here the hierarchical position and the esoteric position are taken by the non-sacred, though, let us say, esoteric planet, Pluto. Of course, Jupiter is one of the greatest planets in our solar system, and Pluto perhaps one of the least. Some people even question whether it is an authentic planet, but I think anybody who has experienced the effect of Pluto will know it is a very real contributor to our psychological and spiritual life. So Pluto, the upward pointing arrow of death, Pisces, the sign of finality, Jupiter, the planet of great blessing, and we're reminded in Pisces of what Master D.K. calls the eternally lovely secret of death. So it is a sign of consummation, bringing all of the many strands together, taking, as it were, from all the signs and creating a great synthesis. So whenever there is a Piscean life, Jupiter, the planet that brings all things together under the first and second ray, and Pluto, the sign of termination, planet of termination, are both involved in bringing about this experience of summation. And when we're passing through a Pisces period in our life, thus it is as well. We'll deal more with that. Disciples and aspirants and initiates have to learn how to use the power of Pluto in a constructive way, in a conscious way. Really, that's not so much the case for other people. Pluto more or less just happens. We have here the Jafra sort of a diagram or illustration. We have someone looking very much like the Lord Neptune. He's holding the two fishes, and these fishes represent the soul and the personality, and they are bound together for a very long time. And from the beginning of individualization, where the animal man becomes the self-conscious human being, gradually, really, over 3 million years, all the way to the time of the fourth initiation, even the fifth initiation, where the consciousness is released from the confines of the egoic lotus, the causal body on the higher mental plane. And at first, the consciousness is in captivation. The consciousness is captive to the lower fish, and this fish is the fish representing the three elementals and their summation, the fourth elemental, the personality. So it is a material subservience, and in the lower worlds consciousness is imprisoned. Pisces is one of the great signs of bondage and imprisonment, but also the sign of liberation, of a final liberation into the true nature of the monad, which is in a way ruled by Pisces. It is the monad that leaves the father's home and turning back saves. That will be the mantra for Pisces: I leave the father's home and turning back I save. So this higher fish at first is the soul, but actually it is the jiva, actually it is the monad itself, who finally returns to freedom. We have Neptune embracing them both. Neptune, a great planet in our solar system. We see up here that we're given two rulers. One here is Neptune, which is a special ruler of Pisces, especially where humanity is concerned. And then we have Jupiter. The man who created this was not aware, perhaps, of the Tibetans' assignment of Pluto, the planet of death, to Pisces. It's very many terrible things happen in Pisces, bringing karma to an end, but also the great blessing of the realization of identification, the fact that there is but one being and that all beings are not only an aspect of that one being, but are the one being itself. So Neptune can rule matter as a whole, because matter and water are equivalent terms, and Neptune can as well rule the astral plane, and finally the Buddhic plane and the monadic plane. The monad is where we seek to return. We are the monad. We are pure being itself in process of descent and reascent. A great pilgrimage is being undertaken, and in Pisces we can at last return to the Father's home, which is our true home as the monad. Now I'd like to turn here to these are the images provided by Francis Donald. Take a look at them. This is the image we used last year, and then there is a progression. Francis will describe this in his notes. And here is the image for this year. And we will follow what Francis has to say about this. He's discussing here, right here, yeah, the chrysalis, and this relates to the first image, the chrysalis, and you can see it, the man is enwrapped. The soul, the personality, the true monad in the lower planes is still in the chrysalis stage and has not unfolded completely. The chrysalis is this. In the first cycle of experience upon the wheel, the soul finds itself is in captivity to substance. It has come down into the prison house of matter and has linked itself to form. And this goes on for millions of years, really, if we assume perhaps that the entire evolution of man as man takes perhaps 25 million years. That's a rounded off figure. The Tibetan has not given us the number of years it actually takes, but it's since there are many on our planet that were individualized 21 million years ago and are nowhere near their liberation, I think 25 million years is a reasonable figure. A disciple finds himself between the night of the form world and the dawn of soul contact. Through the crisis of death, quote, death of desire, death of the personality, and of all which holds him between the pairs of opposites, Pluto, shown in this image midway between the moon and the dawning light. Let's take a look at that. Here is Pluto, as it were, midway between the moon and the dawning light, over here. Okay, Pluto has shifted this disciple's focus away from the world of form to a place of deep introspection. We see here, do we not, how the soul in incarnation is in the pose of the thinker almost, thinking deeply about his condition within the lower worlds, and perhaps realizing himself as the prodigal son, and being ready to return to the Father's home. A long journey. Deep introspection, yet he still does not see the radiance of the higher realms, and those are pictured in the mountains beyond him. You see the snow-covered mountains, and the light is dawning in back of them. Now, the eye of the soul. Upon the reversal of the wheel, the soul proceeds to detach itself from the personality and reattach itself in consciousness to the one who sent it forth. Such is the climaxing story of Pisces. So in a way, the monad is the one who sent it forth. The monad sends itself forth as the jiva, and the jiva is the one who experiences all things upon the great pilgrimage. The lower fish, we could say, is the consciousness within the lower worlds. The higher fish is the consciousness within the higher worlds, the soul, the triad, and the person, and the monad itself. Using a different set of metaphors, eye of the soul depicts the next stage of the Piscean process. And we're talking now about this image. This is the image we'll be discussing. Here's the rider of the fish, and here's the geometry involved, as Francis will describe. A fish representing the vehicle of personality consciousness, we saw that, and its rider, the presently captive soul, have together navigated the waters of the lower quaternary for countless eons. So here are the waters of the lower quaternary, and of course for the rider of the fish to actually ride the fish already tells us something about the midway point at which the individual stands. Oftentimes it's the fish riding the man, as Jonah swallows the whale in the early days, and the man lives entirely by elemental impulses. Okay. Inexorably drawn by his monad, the little one urges his Piscean vehicle to lift itself beyond its own watery element. In this case, it would be the rising fish, the rising jiva. Together they emerge from the dark waters of substance, but in the rare atmosphere of soul contact, the fish, which is the personality self, occultly dies. Occultly dies. That means that we may still have personality vehicles through which to work, but they are simply our instrument, the instrument of our higher consciousness. They have no promptings that they can force upon the man, because the personality has, we are no longer governed by personality impulse. If you look closely, you'll see the night sky with those fish who have gone before. This represents the transformative energy of Pluto, for as DK says, Pluto never destroys the consciousness aspect. So here are the fish which have, maybe you can see them, they are in the sky, and they have gone on, they have risen, as it were, into a higher realm. Everything really is the monad. Personality, consciousness, soul consciousness, triadal consciousness. It's all monadic consciousness in various forms of attenuation. So the rising of the lower elementals, the transfiguration of them, preparation for them to become more deva-like, is represented by these fish in the night sky, the indigo sky. Pisces having so much of the second ray and also the sixth ray. It's really a blue sign in so many respects. Okay, going on. The geometry for this month is the point within the triangle, which DK tells us represents the Christ himself. Christ is the point within the triangle, and we can even look at it, Sanat Kumara, as the point within the triangle of the three Buddhas of activity. All great lords are surrounded by three. It is at this point, the eye of the soul, it is this point, the eye of the soul, with which the eye of the fish, or personality consciousness, aligns itself. Okay, hopefully my audio connection is not, is still with us. I hope that is the case. So we look at this, look at the geometry here, and we see the eye. This is the triangle surrounding it, and the eye of the soul is there, and in a way you can see the sun rising above the moon, which is the condition of the soul in ascension, and the moon in its subservient place and Here we have the building up of the geometry into 3 dimensions. And above there is the watcher, let us say, above all of this. Okay, the following quote describes the work of the Christ, whose eyes can be seen in this image. That's meant to describe the Christ, whose eyes can be seen in this image near the top of the circle of the geometrical forms. We see that here, the eyes of the Christ. Okay. As dispenser of the waters of life, water of life, and as nourisher of the little ones, he enters upon his duties in the Aquarian age, whilst at the center of the triangle he influences, enlightens, and produces right relations in the masses of men. In the coming era he will therefore be known as the point within the triangle, the dispenser of the waters of life, the nourisher of the little ones. We have kind of an Aquarian Piscean images here, and Christ is so much associated with the sign Pisces. Pisces is really a very great sign constellation. It's one of 3 cosmic decanates, we are told. Exactly what system these decanates occur in, that can be discussed, but Pisces for the Christ, Scorpio for Hercules, Taurus for the Buddha. So we see that Neptune, Christ, and Pisces form a great triangle. As the point within the triangle, the Christ becomes the awakener of the hearts of men, the heart considered as the central organ. As a nourisher of the little ones, the purifying waters of the baptism initiation, the second initiation, will submerge hundreds of aspirants in many lands. And these 2 initiations, which are preparatory to true service, and the third initiation of the Transfiguration, will set the seal on Christ's mission as the agent of the great spiritual triangle which he represents, and that is, we know, the avatar of synthesis, the spirit of peace, and the Buddha. So it seems that in this Aquarian age, the Christ will bring many into the first, second, and even the third initiation. Okay. But the point within the triangle also stands at the center of all geometrical forms, and thus at the center of the entire form world. For spirit substans matter in all its permutations. Again, to the image, drawn by the light of the higher mind, represented by the light issuing from the top of the triangle of the pentagram, top triangle of the pentagram, the little one passes through the dense layers of form. Okay. Well, the little one, in a way is very much the jiva, but really the monad itself. It is very much a little one when in the lower states of consciousness and confined and limited by the lower worlds. But increasingly the little one becomes a greater and greater one until it returns to its own true state. A different but related perspective on this point within the triangle is given in Dhyana 2, Discipleship in the New Age, Volume 2. The initiate, standing upon the point within the triangle and not upon the square, sees in a flash of time a great aligning procedure which will carry him from the immediate point of revelation on to the final glory. So it's a kind of a Buddhic revelation. So many things are synthesized in the point when time and space are collapsed at upon the Buddhic plane. The astrological symbols here shown here conjunct the center of the triangle, are a symbolic representation of the entire image. The solar point within the circle rises triumphant from the substanding lunar realms, whilst Neptune, which was conjunct the luminaries at the time of the Piscean new moon, for the first time since 1849 represents the Christ. This tells us something, I believe, of the Christ's coming. So we can see that operating here in the center of the triangle. Okay. For the personality, the fish, the eye formed by the 3 planets, conjunct the point within the triangle, represents the eye of vision or intuition, which opens, DK tells us, when duality is being overcome. So Pisces is one of the extremely Buddhic signs. It is a sign in which the harmony and fusion and embracing quality of Buddhi is magnificently represented, and this is the Christ consciousness, with which Neptune has so much to do, and also the sun and moon in a certain way if we look at them in a higher sense. The first and second rays, yes, they are part of the work. First ray Pluto is to cut the thread which binds the two opposing lives together. And Jupiter is the ruler of second ray Jupiter. It is the activity, consequently, of the second ray force which relates soul to form and brings the two together, and this magnetic potency is peculiarly descriptive of the activity of Pisces. So this is a sign in which the first ray, the second ray, and also the sixth ray coming through the constellation itself are found potent. We are ending a great age of Pisces. It can be questioned whether we have ended it, whether it ended at the time that Christ appeared in Palestine 2,000 years ago. This may be the case, or it may be still lingering with us. 25,000 age of Aquarius to begin, 25,000 years. Okay, this gives us a little preamble, I would say, to our consideration. A very deep interior sign, intimate to the higher levels of human evolution, intimate to the higher aspects of our nature, especially intimate to the monad. Pisces as the revealer of the monad. Actually, Aries, Pisces together as one sign, both of them, in a sense, revealing the monad. So thank you, Francis, for those images and thoughts. And we will proceed with the meditation itself. Hopefully you can hear me fairly well. There have been many things going on, I don't know, sunspots and various disturbances in the ethers, but we will do our best. So, we're ready to begin. So we achieve a degree of alert comfort. And we withdraw our consciousness from the personality and its vehicles, and we enter deeply into the presence of the soul. The vehicles are our instruments, but at this point we are not identified with them. We withdraw inwardly, recognizing ourselves as the soul within the field of light and love and spiritual power. And the energy of Pisces should help us do this. It is one of the great signs of meditation and of subjective approach. And we imagine ourselves as a soul merging into the group soul. The only soul that really is the group soul, which eventually actually is the one soul of all of cosmos, the one consciousness which perceives all things in cosmos on all levels. That is the one soul. But we become aware of various phases of it. So we merge in the group soul of those meditating together. We are as one being with one consciousness. And that which is the group soul perceives through every perceiving member of that soul. We imaginatively unite with all the spiritually minded people of the world, the men and women of goodwill, the new group of world servers, extending our sphere of merging and identification. And finally, visualizing the soul of all humanity. Wherever there is a human being, whether in the body or out of the body, there is but one soul working through that human consciousness, perceiving through all the billions of apertures, one perceiver. And ultimately we will find that we are that one perceiver. And in this extended self of ourselves, this extended sense of ourselves, we realize there is no my soul or thy soul, but only the one soul. And in the words of the old commentary, we realize naught is but me. Not the little me, but the great me, the great I. All are included. All are inseparably related. In fact, all are using the one consciousness, their own consciousness, the consciousness of the greater I of humanity. And on it goes, in increasing identification. Wherever there is perception, there I perceive. Wherever there is contact, there I contact. Wherever there is a human being, there am I. And the boundaries are dissolved away by Neptune. Pervasive wisdom arises in Pisces. And the capacity to identify as the essence of all contents of consciousness. Here we are in our meditating group. We are focusing on the plane of mind. Within the fire of mind, focused within the head's clear light, let the group stand. We have a point of mental tension fed by the energy of the group soul, all of the 7 rays feeding this point of mental tension, the will aspect increasing this point of group mental focus. The first ray, will to initiate. Second ray, will to unify. Third ray, will to evolve. Fourth ray, will to harmonize. Fifth ray, will to act. Sixth ray, will to cause. Seventh ray, will to express. And in our meditating group, we draw up the powers of the personality, all the etheric energy and the sentient energy, we draw it up into the mind, into the point of tension we are creating. And we will visualize as a group, the group Antakarana, the rainbow bridge composed of all the colors and our own we are aware of as well, the color of our soul and personality ray, red for the first, indigo for the second, green for the third, yellow for the fourth, orange for the fifth, silvery rose or light blue for the sixth, violet for the seventh. We visualize our own Antakarana within the group Antakarana. And we can visualize the group Antakarana somewhat cone-like, or moving from the circumference of the sphere towards the diamond center, but towards a diamond center, a blue-white center, passing through the monastic permanent atom and sphere, the Buddhic permanent atom and sphere, the atomic permanent atom and sphere. We are touching higher mind, spiritual love, spiritual will, touching imaginatively pure being, the beingness of the monad. And the group will become sensitive to the downpouring of the wisdom of the spiritual triad. These energies are available to us as a group, and with great intensity from our group point of tension on the mental plane and across the multicolored rainbow bridge and toward the blue-white diamond, we project the vivid line of living light using the mantram, I see the greatest light, which we think to ourselves, affirm to ourselves, as we sound together the Om on one of the second ray notes, the note G. No. I see the greatest light. I see the greatest light. And these are energies which perhaps the group can receive and approach more successfully than the individual alone. And the group is open to these transpersonal, impersonal energies, these planetary energies, the mind, the heart, and the will of the planetary logos, inasmuch as we can faintly receive that impression. And around us, as it were, because this is their world, this world of the triad, this world of the will, the love, and mind of God, the planetary logos, we sense the elder brothers, the great white brotherhood, the masters of the wisdom, the great lodge on high, we sense their reality, and their cooperation in a great planetary meditation towards which we move in less than 12 hours. And we feel their reality and the sense of gratitude for their ministrations on behalf of humanity and the planet. We express our solidarity with the Masters of Wisdom. We offer this solidarity in recognizing their presence through our salutations. Om. Salutations to the Christ, the Master of all masters, the teacher of like, of angels and of men, the teacher alike of angels and of men. Salutations to the triangle of masters with whom we work most closely in the Trans-Himalayan Lodge, the Master M, the Master KH, and the Master DK. Om. Salutations to the Master Morya, the head of all esoteric schools and organizations. Om. Salutations to the Master Kutumi, whose ashram is most responsible for preparing for the reappearance of the Christ, the Master KH, the Christ of the coming age of Capricorn. Om. Salutations to the Master Jwal Kul, who has given us the great teaching in book form, who trains aspirants for initiation. Om. Salutations to your own master as you conceive him to be. Om. Salutations to the entire spiritual hierarchy of our planet. We affirm our cooperation, our co-creativity with this great body of servers. And we imaginatively raise our thought to Shambhala, the center where the will of God is known, and with deepest reverence and in all humility we attempt as a group to attune with the all-pervading presence of Sanat Kumara standing at the center of Shambhala. In the group soul we attune, and fed by the triadal energies we attune. Tuning to the will of God, to the purpose, and a long silent inner Om to make this group attunement. In this sign, Pisces especially, we learn, not my will, Father, but thine be done. Attunement to the great will and to the purpose behind that will. So we are together, we are aligned with the highest energies, we are together as a group. We can visualize ourselves as a brilliant point of light, love, and power above a golden stream of energy, path of energy which flows towards the center of the indigo sphere, and together we move along that shortening path until we find ourselves within the indigo sphere. Let us register this imaginatively. Within the indigo sphere we take our position, and here, as it were, in intimate contact with the consciousness of the Master DK, we prepare for our thoughtful ascent towards the energies now available, supported as a group by his presence and understanding and consciousness. And we will together approach then the energies available. First we will approach the three rulers, really two, but in three categories of Pisces. Oh, there are three, if we count Neptune, of course. Jupiter, we will approach Jupiter, conveying beneficence and selfless spiritual generosity. We will approach Pluto, which is the esoteric ruler, conveying the power to purge the personality and the group personality of all hidden obstructions to soul infusion. The higher aspect of Pluto giving us the power to negate and even to destroy the power of the personality as an inhibition to the expression of the soul. And we will also together approach Neptune, the special ruler in relation to humanity, conveying transcendent compassion and the power to identify with all aspects of the soul, higher and lower, including the anima mundi, the soul of the world. If we are ever to fuse with the one soul and become in realization that one consciousness, that one all-pervading consciousness, this fusion will be greatly facilitated by the power of Neptune. So we will approach these three, and first we will do them in order, trying to bring into the group the presence of these energies which we will be distributing during the next 3 days, these energies which we will apply to the improvement of the group and to the improvement of the group service, and which we will radiate out for the utilization of humanity. So we ponder first. We can visualize the glyph like the number 4 in royal blue or indigo, however you choose, of Jupiter, the conferrer of faith, hope, charity, benevolence, and selfless service, the exoteric ruler, the helper, the uplifter. We come en rapport with this beneficent energy which affirms the group and the harmonious relations of all within the group, uplifting us all through the many virtues, expanding our energy system, expanding our consciousness, expanding our participation in the larger sphere. We can put these glyphs within our heart center if we choose, or in any other chakra. Jupiter particularly in the heart center, between the shoulder blades. Jupiter overflowing all the lesser states of consciousness and absorbing human consciousness into the great ocean of consciousness. This planet of compensation, of blessing, of reward after due diligence has been expressed, promising fulfillment. So the attitude of helpfulness comes into us, and we seek the fulfillment of all those we contact, of our own group, of the many groups, of humanity as a whole. We learn the ways of fulfillment. So that a life more abundant can emerge as a reality. We open the group to this energy. It flows into us. And we think about, let us say, our group or the groups with which we are most familiar, and of course humanity as the largest group in which we have a truly practical role to play. What are the Jupiterian qualities which are needed in these groups? And we envision ourselves imbued by these qualities. transmitting these qualities to our groups. What would our groups be like if imbued with what Jupiter in relation to Pisces can give? Really, saving groups, would they not be? Benevolent groups. Groups to aid the mission of the Christ, would they not be? And so, we will transmit on the Om, the energy of Jupiter, to our group and groups, and later to all humanity. We breathe in the royal blue of Jupiter, tinged with the color purple, second and seventh rays. Imbued with this great energy, we move on to the power of Pluto, both the esoteric and the hierarchical ruler of Pisces, and we meditate upon Pluto as the agent of purification and expurgation, casting out of all impedimenta that is hidden in the depths of the aura, the cleansing of the aura, the rising of the impediments and their casting out of the system, understanding that Pluto kills all desire for life within the worlds of illusion, though not the desire for service within the world of illusion. So a great cleansing. We meditate upon this healing, cleansing, purgating, purifying power of Pluto. Bringing the death to Maya, to glamour, to illusion, so the lower instrument can truly be used for soul and triadal monadic purposes. Pluto is so difficult to deal with until we realize the world it will reveal, free of the impediments, free of the blinding, incapacitating attachments, free of the state of death to consciousness in which we often live. Consciousness shall instead become alive, freed of the veils which obscure it in the lower worlds. The burning ground has done its work. Aries, Pluto, Shambhala, the fire of Shambhala magnified into the personality, burning up in a sequential measure all that stands in the path of liberation. If we could but realize it. And then the hierarchical meaning, still higher. Pluto acting as an agent for the spiritual triad and monad. An agent for the spirit, conveying the power to cut away and destroy all the limiting ties that bind the consciousness, that is the soul, to the perception of time and space, releasing our consciousness into the timelessness and spacelessness, the non-locality of the spiritual triad, and into the pure being at the very center of the monadic triangle. We take in this upward pointing arrow of death, whether we see it in black or black and crimson color. We take it in realizing it is a great friend to life, even though it appears to deal death. We take it in. We find the group imbued with this energy to bring to an end all the impediments within itself. Expelling the evil, bringing about the salvation of the individual, the group, and humanity, releasing these from the material forces, from the pall of the material forces, and we transmit the Plutonic energy into the group, into the wider groups, seeing how it is needed, how it may be used, perhaps restoring us to a sense of the essential, cutting the ties between consciousness and the non-essential, the attachments, revealing the essence. We will transmit the Plutonic energy. We will use the red-orange note, C sharp. A great strengthening of group will. Group power. The power to detach and to be free of the forces that deal death to consciousness. And we will then move to the final ruler, a special ruler, a transcendent ruler, a transcendental influence, united with Pisces to bring about the final sublimation of the entrapped spirit, so it may rise to its true home after having redeemed the lower spheres. So we realize the power of Neptune in relation to Pisces, to remove all egoistic barriers and boundaries between human beings, very much through forgiveness. So that the oneness of humanity, its one soul, its one spirit, are experientially realized through identification. The experiential realization through the dissolving of the boundaries and barriers between souls, the realization of the one soul, the one spirit, and the identification as that one soul, one spirit. It's as if Neptune is here with us in the midst of the group, even in the midst of humanity, in the beautiful blue color that it displays actually as a planet, or in the rose color. Ending the great heresy of separateness, the heresy of separation, the one great mistake in consciousness, which is not to realize that the macrocosmic whole is all there is. Neptune, the dissolver, the solver, the resolver, the liberation of the human soul into the great ocean of consciousness, until that soul realizes it is the ocean of consciousness. We feel ourselves pervaded by the exquisite sensitivity of Neptune. It is conferring compassion, the feeling of all things eventually, and the merging into a state of spiritual identification. So one sees in every content of consciousness, and what else is there really that presents itself to us, one sees only the great identity in all contents of consciousness. One sees no difference. Neptune helping to hide all difference and blot out all form. Till the one great being is perceived as the one reality, itself expressing the one consciousness in the one form. And we absorb that, we absorb this great energy and see how our group and groups and humanity can be benefited by this energy. What is it that these groups need? Do they need a sense of their own oneness? Do they need an unbreakable unity? Do they need compassion for all group members and compassion for the larger whole? Do they need to end all sense of separateness? So whatever it is they need, we absorb this Neptunian energy into us. We will use the blue in this case And as Neptune is the great second ray monad in our solar system, the synthesizing planet with the second ray monad, we will pour the love wisdom energy representing the heart of the sun into our group and groups and into humanity. We will use the note G. And finding the way to identify with reality, identify with the great solar logos, the solar logos, the heart of our solar system. The solar flames of the heart of the sun are stored in Neptune, we are told. We visualize the sun, the great transformer, the center of the descending Dorje, the sun everywhere present, the solar logos pervading all the blue logos. Our monad finds its home there, at least its temporary home. We feel this all-pervading blue logos, the God of love, wisdom, the consuming fire of love. In which, as spirits, we all melt. Finding the love of wisdom, the oneness in love wisdom, which so often eludes us. And we are striving one day to become what is called sons of the sun, the true initiates, the true reflections of the sun, true hearts of love wisdom. Whatever our ray may be, love wisdom predominates, pervaded by the sun. And as we do, and as we feel this together, we move towards the constellation itself, the constellational lord of the constellation Pisces. Pisces, the light of the world. This is the light revealing the light of life itself. It ends forever the darkness of matter and the light of life itself. This can be associated with Aries, looking forward towards Aries. Ending forever the darkness of matter, but at first submerging the consciousness, the little fish, the jiva in the lower worlds into the darkness of matter, so that it may gradually work its way out of the darkness of matter, as we saw in Francis's rendering, the ascending fish. It will ascend, will ascend. Ending forever the darkness of matter substance. And we open ourselves to the feel of the energy quality of Pisces, attempting to realize its profound relationship to the second ray of love wisdom, to the sixth ray of devotion and idealism, and also to its rulers, Jupiter, Pluto, and Neptune, and to the first, second, and sixth rays for our solar system. Such an important sign, this second ray solar system, with its second ray soul and perhaps even its ultimate second-ray monad, heart center within a cosmic logos, Pisces, calling upon Pisces for the love wisdom which should characterize our nature, no matter what our race or astrology may be. And this is the moment, of course, and we will build up towards the moment some 11.5 hours from now, at the time of the actual full moon. We will ponder upon I leave the Father's home, and turning back I save. We will attempt to grasp its esoteric meaning and significance. I leave the Father's home, and turning back I save. The Father's home, the monadic plane. The home upon the cosmic physical plane at this time for our monad. There will be other homes, but at this point it is the Father's home, where we all reside in a state of homogeneous awareness, the realization of pure being. And yet we descend to assist the lower lives in the lower three worlds. I leave the Father's home, and turning back I save. I leave the Father's home, and turning back I save. And we have turned back, have we not? We have awakened as the prodigal son in the distant land, in the foreign country. We have awakened, and we have looked towards our true home, the Father's home, realizing that we no longer wish to live on the husks of life, and in returning we can help to save others, help to point them in the right direction, help to lead them back to their true origin, thus completing the great monadic pilgrimage. I leave the Father's home, and turning back I save. What is the difference between that which we so often call home in these lower worlds and the Father's home? The heart center of the Solar Logos resides on the monadic plane, the second ether, the second cosmic ether. Home is where the heart is. I leave the Father's home, and turning back I save. Who is it that needs the help of those for whom the mark of the Savior is the emblem? Those who toil in Pisces with the mark of the Savior above their group? Who is it in your local environment and among those you can touch who needs the salvation, the saving force? Everyone can help. Everyone can aid. Everyone can move towards the power of salvation, until at length some will become those who tread the path of the world's saviors, a very difficult path, so related to Pisces. I leave the Father's home, and turning back, I save. And we will hold this in the coming hours, holding our alignment as the full moon approaches, thinking about the great supercosmic Logos, the one about whom naught may be said, at the very heart of the Pleiades, thinking about the extension of the great love, wisdom, energy out through Orion and through our own cosmic Logos, thinking about the way Pisces itself plays its role in the heart within the head center of that one about whom naught may be said. The energies coming into our central spiritual sun, heart of the sun, into our solar Logos. These great love, wisdom energies along the second 6-ray line, extending outward towards Jupiter, outwards towards Pluto, absorbed at last in the synthesizing planet Neptune, conveyed to Shambhala, our Earth, conveyed to our planetary Logos. Passing through every monad as it passes through Shambhala, passing through every soul as it passes through hierarchy, passing down into every related personality, spiritualizing through the heart center and the solar plexus and back to the heart, and through the heart and the head. This redeeming energy of Pisces. So that we may be inspired with the ability to realize that we have left the Father's home long ago, as monads in extension, as jivas, as pilgrims through the lower worlds, learning, knowing, redeeming, uplifting, returning. Let us look at the world, let us look at that which requires redemption, salvation. Let us look. Where is it that this Pisces energy should be directed in our world? Let us find a place that needs this energy and prepare to direct it towards some aspect of the general redemption of our planet, which must occur as we move towards becoming a sacred planet. Piscean force, this force connected with the cosmic Christ and with humanity's own Christ, the head of the hierarchy. Where is it needed? And as we have seen where it is needed, we will, on the sound of the Om, and using the creative imagination, act as a group conduit and individual conduits for the force which must flow and find the object of redemption. And as the day passes towards the full moon, and even if it is in the middle of the morning, 2 or 3 in the morning, do wake up. It is unique in its opportunity. We will carry these energies towards that full moon and into the days that follow, remembering the aspects of humanity which must be redeemed, where solution must come, where resolution must come, where the great problems of humanity must be solved. Remembering these places. And so, let us together sound the great invocation, keeping our high alignments as if, sounding it as if in unison with the Christ and his hierarchy, as if we all sound together in power, in love, in wisdom, in light, the great invocation. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Oh. Okay, friends, at 9:39 and 27 seconds, GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. Watch out for your daylight saving time if you have it. So in another, well, really, just another little more than 11 hours, we will have our Pisces full moon meditation in the places where you may hold it. We'll all be together as one being, as one consciousness. I appreciate so many of you being able to attend. We change the time of these meditations. It sometimes favors Europe, sometimes favors the United States, for reasonable, so-called reasonable hours. And it makes it possible for Australians and New Zealanders at early hours. So thank you for your participation, and we will get this webinar audio and video ready for you as soon as we can so you can use it as you wish, either at the full moon or on the days preceding, or as you wish. So thank you, and we will be with you in meditation. Bye for now.